Welcome back to Business Breakfast and Bedhead. I actually do these live calls on Instagram. I would love for you to come and hang out with me at them. So if you don't already follow me at Dawn Bradley, DAWNBRADLEY, should have made a song about that. Go follow me there because then you can take part in these live calls and you can actually chat with me. But if you can't make them, no sweat. Now they're going to be here. So welcome to Business Breakfast and Bedhead. Buckle up, friend, and let's dive in. I overthink, I overshare, and I overanalyze. So come explore with me as I chat about business, life, and relationships, all through the lens of an anxious creative. Good morning and welcome to blah, 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 blah. Today we're talking about if you struggle with boundaries, how to implement them seamlessly into your life and business. Something that has been a real flex of mine over the past decade, I would say, is learning how to implement, communicate, and follow through on boundaries in my life and business. So I'm really excited to share this with you because boundaries is kind of my jam. It's something that I don't say that I teach or talk about, but what other people say I teach and talk about. So it must be like an underlying theme in everything I do. And I'm really excited to talk more clearly about it. It's something that I've been talking about on my lives this week. So first things first, if you're new here, if you haven't been to one of my lives before, good morning. My name's Dawn. And this is where I go live with my coffee in my bedhead to come chat with you about real life stuff off the cuff. I'm really excited to talk about boundaries because it isn't something that we're really taught. Like, it's not like a life. I mean, I wasn't taught how to have healthy boundaries. I was actually taught that having boundaries was like pushing people away. And so I learned to be a doormat. I learned to get walked all over, get taken advantage of. I was a people pleaser. And I thought my worth was found in other people or in other things outside of myself. I really struggled with my self-worth, my self-esteem, leading me into places of workaholism, toxic relationships, toxic friendships, and really not knowing who I was outside of the things I could do for other people or outside of the things I could perform. And so if this sounds like you, this is the live to tune in for. First things first, I want to remind you guys that this is a safe space and a judgment-free zone. It's really, really important to me to cultivate safe spaces. If you've ever heard about my retreats, I do in-home retreats here in my living room. And it's a small group of people where we come together. Safety is really important. You can't get vulnerable if you don't feel safe. And if you can't get vulnerable, you can't grow. Growth requires discomfort. Discomfort generally is quite vulnerable for us. Hi, Rosa. And so if you can commit to this being a safe space and a judgment-free zone with me today, can you put a 1 in the chat? Because it's really important for me to be able to show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable, as well as I want it to feel safe for you to show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable, especially when talking about boundaries, because boundaries is one of those things that it's not fun to participate in. And I thrive off your energy. I don't want to be someone talking on a screen at you. I want to talk with you. And so if you can also commit to this being a conversation today, awesome, Claire. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Rosa. If you can commit to this being a conversation, just put hello in the comments or put your name and where you're tuning in from. Because I thrive. I'm realizing I bring the best information, education, and inspiration and motivation to you when we're in connection and in conversation. I do better. It's so funny. I had this realization yesterday. I'm working with a coach and she's like, how do you show up best? Where do you give the most impact? And I'm like, on my lives or in person or when I do like a live call. And I kept trying to, create a business model where I didn't have to be live, which is funny. And it's because I was going through some shit the past couple of years of my life and realizing that I thrive in connection. So I love how much you guys participate in these. And I want to have this be a really, really constructive, insightful conversation around boundaries this morning. Hi, Stacy from Hot as Heck, Texas. Burgundy from Scottsdale, Arizona. I wonder where's hotter. You guys should put what the temperature is today. So I'm curious, since we're going to show up and be real, raw, honest, and vulnerable and safe, what are the areas that you've struggled with boundaries with? I've really struggled with boundaries in my business. So 10 years ago, I moved to Calgary. But before that, I remember thinking, like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so burnt out. People are walking all over me. Why do everybody tries to take advantage of me? Pointing the finger at everyone else, like they're the fault that I'm so tired. Like, it's so hard being me when everybody wants me. There was like definitely this, I played out this like insecure, low self-esteem, but really there was this like, I loved when people told me I was the only hairstylist they could see. And people knew it was an unconscious manipulation tactic between my clients and myself, where they'd be like, Dawn, you're the only one who knows how to do my hair. And I'd be like, oh my God, I am, right? And I didn't believe it, but for that half second, it felt so good for someone to give me that feeling. And it was like I had this cup with a hole in the bottom that it would fill up and it would feel good and I'd feel worthy, and then it would disappear. But what would happen is they'd tell me I'm the only one who knew how to do their hair and that they could never see someone else. And what would I do? I'd stay late. I'd come in on my day off. I'd find a way to squeeze them in because I felt like I had to reciprocate to them my thanks of giving me my self-esteem. And so, does that put a 1 in the chat if that relates? Like people telling me, oh my gosh, you're the best. No one could ever do my hair, or insert whatever service you provide. And you're like, oh my God, that feels like you are right. Like, even though there's like millions of amazing other talented and skilled people out there, for that half second, you're like, I totally am the best. And because I'm the best, like I would never want to subject you to having to see someone who isn't the best. And so you fall for this unconscious manipulation, which is not, I don't believe your clients are trying to be manipulative. I don't believe your clients are trying to, that they have bad intentions. But we like kind of sniff out each other. Us people pleasers and people with low self-esteem and low self-worth and lack of boundaries attract people who don't really have respect. I don't even want to say it respect, but who can sense someone who's not going to have strong boundaries. I am reading this book this morning and it is blowing my mind, and it's called Facing Codependency, What It Is, Where It Comes From, and How It Sabotages Our Lives. I'm like, talk about real, raw, honest, and vulnerable. It's slightly embarrassing for me to share with you guys that I'm reading a book about codependency, but the reality of, oh, hi, Lewis. Say hi to everyone. The reality is I have a lot of codependent tendencies, and it's a hard thing to work through. And most people pleasers, most of us who lack boundaries, have some codependency issues. You're putting your worth in how happy your clients are. You're putting your worth in how much you can perform for other people. You're putting your worth in how many friends you have, or how happy you can make your mom, or how happy you can make your partner, or insert whatever it is for you. Feeding the ego. Yeah. And so what you need to realize that those things feel good, but they cannot dictate who you are. You can still crave and want positive affirmation. You can still crave words of affirmation. But when you don't get it, for example, I remember one time coming in on my day off for a client, and they didn't profusely thank me. They said, hey, is there any way that you could do my hair on Sunday? Or I don't know what day. And I was like, yeah, sure. And like, I love this client. It was like more like a friend. And so I came in and they didn't say, oh my God, thank you so much for coming in on your day off. Like, I know, no. They didn't do that whole like dance that you get into. And I was like, in my head, I was like, bitch, I can't believe like she didn't like thank me. Like, does she not know that like I went out of my way? And you have to ask yourself, what's motivating you to do the things and say yes to the questions that you could have said no to? And if you would get upset with someone not profusely not profusely thanking you, if you would get upset with someone for something that you could have said no to, then you might be lacking boundaries with yourself, not necessarily with other people, with yourself. And you might be doing things and saying yes for a bid for validation. And you might be actually addicted to validation because you have such low self-worth and self-esteem. When you have strong sense of self-esteem and good boundaries, you say yes to things when you want to. You can still go in on your day off. You can still stay late, but you're not doing it from a place of, if I do this, then I'll get validated. Especially if you didn't get affirmation in childhood. Yeah. And so I'm not saying like boundaries are walls. That's like, there's a very clear distinction between boundaries and walls. And I see a lot of people when they start to learn how to implement boundaries in their business or in their lives, they just start saying no and like being offended. Like, that person pushed up against my boundaries. That person doesn't respect my boundaries. I need therapy for sure. Well, you come into Dawn therapy. I'm not a therapist, disclaimer, but I've done a lot of therapy. And when you get frustrated, when you start to understand boundaries and start to understand that you can have boundaries, often the next step is to get frustrated at people who bump up against it. But it's not them. That is a indication that you are aware of where you need to start saying no, or aware of where you need to start putting a boundary. When you start to feel that friction instead of the knee-jerk reaction to appease, right? Dawn therapy has helped me so much this year. Thank you, Stacy. I'm glad. You know what? I really believe my purpose in this earth is to impart the wisdom that I've learned the hard way to you, so you don't have to learn it through the hard way. Thank you, Burgundy. And so when you start to feel that frustration of how dare they ask, and you've gone from the like, okay, yes, I'll do it, to the like feeling frustrated, that is a signal to you to be like, I need to implement healthy boundaries with myself here and communicate them well. And so when someone's bumping up, when someone's like, saying like, hey, can I come over to your house? And you're feeling obligated and you're feeling frustrated that they would ask, then it's a signal to yourself. You're not frustrated with them. You're frustrated with yourself. And because you're struggling to say no, because you're scared of a confrontation, or you're scared of upsetting them. You're scared that if you upset somebody else or you disappoint someone else, their disappointment in you is a reflection of you not being worthy. That you deep down believe that you're not worthy of being respected. And that's probably the thing that's standing in the way of you making more money in your business, attracting better clients, implementing your policies, increasing your prices, or starting to educate like you've been dreaming of. Deep down, you don't believe that you're worthy of it. And so you keep looking for external things, external validation. Tell me that I could, tell me that I can, instead of going, I am worthy and I can have this. The biggest thing standing in your way of the next step, whether it's getting new clients, implementing and enforcing your policies, increasing your prices, doing a schedule change, starting your independent education, is waiting for permission for someone else to tell you you're worthy of it. I need you to know right now, you are inherently worthy of whatever you crave. Period. Full stop. You are inherently worthy of whatever you crave. You do not need someone else's permission. You do not need someone else's affirmation. You do not need someone else's validation. Does it feel good? Hell yeah. It feels real good when someone tells me, oh my God, I could totally see you being an educator. Oh my God, I could totally see you owning a big space with multiple staff. Oh my God, I could totally see you. You could totally do this. It feels good. It feels good. And like, it's good to want that, but I need you to understand that you don't need it. You can want it. You don't need it. There is a very big difference. You can ask for it too. Hey, can you give me some encouragement? I'm struggling today. We're not meant to do perfect for the Lionsgate portal today. I love that. Someone just sent me that. Is that like 888 thing? You don't need other people. You can want other people. You can want the affirmation. You can want the validation. You can ask for it. You need to find motivation, but at the end of the day, you need to be okay without it. You need to want it, but you don't need it. You do not need it. I need you to understand that. You are a full human. I don't care what's happened to you, what you've done, what you've been through. Those things have refined you despite being shitty, despite not being your fault, despite maybe you making a really bad decision at a point in your life where you feel embarrassed and ashamed of it. They do not define you and what you're able, capable, willing to do. I need you to understand that right now. I need you to believe it, and I need you to step into it. I need you to step into the bigness that you were created for. I know it's scary. I know you're waiting for this, like, someone to appoint you worthy. If you're waiting for someone, something, some scenario to appoint you worthy of going after the things you want, done, appointed, knighted, worthy, inherently worthy. Even if someone told you that you couldn't be, you wouldn't be, or you're not. I need to let you know that I have, it's like, I think I shared this on my live last night, so it's okay sharing it. I have a fine line between I want to share experiences that I've been through, making sure that I don't share stuff that's not mine to share. It's really important for me. I once had an ex, we had a really explosive relationship. It was very, very toxic. And he would like come to my face like here and yell. And he's like, you're evil. I can see it in your eyes. I don't know if you've ever had someone like look deeply into eyes and tell you you're evil. That shit stings. That hurts. That happened to me over 15 years ago. No, probably 15 years ago. And so, that's a good question. And so I need you to know, like, I struggled. I was also told, like, Dawn, you're meant to be alone. You're not meant to be in relationships. You're just not cut out for it. What other people say to us can really affect us, just as much as it can feel good to be validated. But here's the thing. How wild is this? I'm having a realization. We crave the validation from other people to tell us we're worthy and that we could and that we should. And you're like, yeah, should I? Like, and you're like, oh my God, you believe in me? Okay, maybe I could do it. But can you keep telling me? And it's like this addiction to like the constant affirmation and validation. It's like someone telling us once that we're worthy. It like makes us excited for half a second. Oh my gosh, there's like almost a car accident outside my window. but it doesn't stick. And yet someone can say something to me once 15 years ago, and I let it dictate the next 15 years. And so let's ask ourselves, why do we hold on to one negative comment and let it dictate how I show up, how I act, and how I move forward? And yet how many positive things have happened and said to me, and I don't let those dictate how I move forward? And I don't have the answer for that, but I'm curious what you guys think. Why do we let one negative comment, hi Cass, why would you let one negative comment someone said to you, why do you believe it so deep in your core? It's that you're searching for the reason to believe that you are not worthy. If you continue to search for validation that you're not worthy, and then when people tell you you're worthy, you feel good for the moment and you crave that, but you actually reject it internally, you're actually seeking out proof that you're not worthy. And what are you going to accomplish in life by looking for proof that you can't? You need to flip that script. That's why I teach my students mantras. It seems cheesy and fluffy and weird, but maybe woo-woo-y, but you need to take that noise that you maybe don't even consciously hear, that voice telling you you can't, you shouldn't, you wouldn't, and you need to flip the opposite. So for example, I almost think now, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I was told that I'm evil and I was told that I'm not cut out to be in relationships. And I think there's still a part of me that holds on to that, being like, maybe he was right. And so I'm going to add into my mantras that I write down every morning, I am light, I am pure, I am good, and I'm worthy of being in relationships, right? Because what you believe, even if you think, I believe, I'm telling myself that I'm worthy, but there's a deep-seated fear that you're not, you're going to not be able to move forward. You need to, I think Ryan on our live yesterday, I went live with Ryan of Masters Balayage. He's like, you have to be, do, and then you get to have. But a lot of times we do it in the other order. And I can't remember exactly. You'd have to go watch that live. It was so good. You can't wait to have the things, to then do the thing, to then become the thing. You have to be the thing and then do the things to have the things. Probably if you Googled the be, do, have theory, it'd probably explain it way better. And so Rosa asks, how do you believe in yourself? Great question, Rosa. I've been on the struggle bus with this the last couple years. So if those of you guys don't know, I was in a 10-year relationship that I ended up finding out, I could divulge a lot. I found out he was cheating in 2015. We worked through it, so I thought. And then I found him cheating again in 2022. And then just last year found out that it had been since the very beginning. And it was an extended. And so finding out that I had been cheated on for the entirety of a 10-year relationship really I didn't want it to hit my self-worth. And I understand it has nothing to do with me, and it has to do with him and what he's had to work through. However, it hit my self-confidence and it hit my self-worth, being like, what kind of person am I that someone would want to cheat on me? Or clearly I'm not enough. And this narrative, and then it really affected how I showed up in every area of my life. It showed up how I was able to show up in my business, being like, well, if I'm the kind of person that someone cheats on for 10 years, who am I as a business owner? Who am I to lead? Who am I to motivate? Who am I to inspire? Who am I to coach? Who am I to mentor? And this negative loop started to show up in my brain, which it's hard. You guys, I know I said I show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable. That's hard to admit live on the internet where anyone could watch this, right? That's really hard to admit that and here's the thing that I struggle with is very well-meaning people, and maybe this is you as well, would say but Dawn, that's just not true. I logically understand that. And I know you're smart like that too. You logically know you're worthy. You logically know that you experience stuff that has nothing to do with you, but someone else's internal battle with themselves. However, if you haven't developed that deep sense of self-worth and self-esteem, you'll still feel it in your core. And so I've had to do some work going, I know I'm worthy. Why don't I feel like I'm worthy? What you know and what you feel, your head and your heart are two different things, and getting them connected and talking to each other takes some work. And so if you're struggling to implement boundaries because you're scared of losing clients, you're scared of losing people, you're scared of losing friends, you're scared of pissing off people, and the fear is if someone's upset at me, then I'm not worthy. If someone gets upset, you'd be okay with losing clients if they just fell off into the abyss. It's the fear of them being confrontational, and that confrontation equating, maybe I'm not worthy to do this. Maybe I'm not worthy of saying no. Maybe I should be working. Maybe I'm not worthy of making six figures unless I'm working late every night, or unless I'm working all weekends, or unless I'm bending over backwards, or unless I'm appeasing every request. And you need to get your head and your heart connected. And so how do I believe in myself, Rosa? Every morning I wake up and I make the decision that I'm a big deal and I can do hard things. And this morning was a struggle. I went live a little bit later. I try to go around 8 a.m. Lately, it's been like 8:30, 9 o'clock. But I have to remind myself, done is better than perfect, and B+ work is still okay. There was a time where I was like, got to go live at 8, and I had such expectation on myself. Those of you guys that have been to my lives since 2020, I would go live from, if I couldn't get out of bed and I was tired, I'd go live from bed at 8. And I think there's something to be said for that discipline and that consistency. However, I was coming from a place of, if I disappoint the people who are expecting me to go live at 8, then that tells me I'm unworthy. And so now I'm trying to be, it's like the pendulum swung. And now it's like, oh my God, I don't feel like going live at 8. I was like on the couch reading my book, feeling like I was going to fall back asleep. And I was like, I can't do it at 8. I'll give myself 15 more minutes. Then it was 8:30. And I was like, oh, should I even do it? Like, I should have gone live at 8. And I was like, done is better than perfect. B+ work is okay. If you beat yourself up over making a mistake or not being on time or not doing something when you said you'd do it, and so you decide to just not do it at all, you're being really hard on yourself. Case in point with my live this morning. This is like I'm getting, are you getting something out of this? Put a 1 in the chat. I'm getting a lot out of this. You guys actually really help me a lot when I learn so much from these lives, because I thrive off of energy and connection and community. And so I'm so glad that I didn't just bail on it being like, well, it's too late and people are probably expecting it. And now it's too late. Done is better than perfect. It's never too late. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. If you've ever heard this, the next best time, today. If you're like, well, it's too late, I'm too late in my career, it's too late in life, or, insert whatever, it's never too late. Today is the best next time. And like, well, people are way far ahead of me. Well, you know what? Time's going to pass regardless. Time is going to pass regardless. You can decide if you can say it's too late, and then in 5 years' time go, you could have started 5 years ago. The next best time is today. Cass says, we have to rewire our brains and habits day by day. Also forgiving yourself for past mistakes. Hells yes. I have so many past mistakes. I have let so many people down in my life, and forgiving myself for, doing the best I could at the time with what I had. And so, Rosa, how do I believe in myself? Every day I make the choice to. Some days I win. It's so beautiful and sunny. I'm like getting my vitamin D. It's like good lighting. I don't even have to have a ring light on. I make the choice, and some days the internal bitch wins and I don't like it. 2 days ago, I try not to be on my phone first thing in the morning, because they say like the high dopamine hit the first thing, especially for ADHD people, getting that high dopamine first thing in the morning from scrolling kind of like F's up your brain. And then I will get into like just constantly scrolling all day and like not being able to get out of it. That happened 2 days ago. I was on my phone in the morning, and I went to a coffee shop and worked with a friend, and then I came home and I had a whole big list of things I wanted to do. And then as I continued to not do them, I shamed myself more and more and more for not doing it. Dawn, you should be doing it. Continue to scroll. Dawn, that task would take 5 minutes. Continue to scroll. Totally waste of a day. I decided to call it a day and be like, I'm going to start out tomorrow better. Yesterday, didn't go on my phone first thing. Got so much done. I had been wanting to, my policy pathway program, which talks about boundaries in your business, how to implement your policies with having a pathway of conscious, compassionate communication, because having a policy isn't enough. You can get the templates. You can write your policies. You can put them on your website. People still aren't going to respect them. It's about how you navigate the situation. And so I was like, I want to redo the sales page for my policy pathway, because I'm understanding more and more like what it is and why people need it. And so I yesterday wrote out a whole new sales page, designed a whole new sales page in one day, which is like wild. I know a lot of you guys are hairstylists, so you don't live in that world of like creating web pages. I'm not a web designer or a copywriter, and yet I got so excited, I got so into it, ADHD hyperfocus, because I'm like, this is going to help so many people. Teaching you how to not only have policies and boundaries in your business, but how to communicate them, implement them, and follow through on them in a way that doesn't create conflict, doesn't create combative energy with your clients, doesn't create that confrontation, but creates understanding, trust, respect, loyalty, and authority with your clients. How many of you guys crave that? Put a yes in the chat. Where you can implement change in your business, whether it be through a policy, through a price change, through a schedule change, and you can do it in a way that you compassionately communicate, where you know what to say, not because you're reading off a script, but you have the ability to adapt, improvise, and navigate as you interact with someone in a confident, safe, regulated, calm manner that invites your clients to understand and reciprocate that same energy you put into it. So when you're implementing boundaries, when you're implementing a price increase, when you're implementing a schedule change, when you're having to let someone go, you're not scared of it anymore because you're no longer having to like memorize a script that someone gave you, which I've given you guys before, but you've developed the skill of confidence, which means showing up courageously and vulnerably. The ability to have the adaptability, the calm nervous system, and the improvisation to stay calm and respond over react. Mari, I wanted to see you at IBS Vegas. I told our team how great you are. Are you going to be in San Antonio? I don't know what shows in San Antonio, so no. But I'm very likely going to be at IBS New York. And so if you guys are interested, I'm trying to get my policy pathway. So talk about done is better than perfect and B+ work is still okay. I have my old sales page for the policy pathway and I don't want to send it to anyone because I'm not proud of it and I'm not excited about it. And I don't think it's like no one's going to want to buy the policy pathway because the sales page isn't cute. Ugh, so silly. I teach showing up messy and taking immediate imperfect action. And yet I was like, I want to make this new sales page, which by the way, is killer. And I can't wait for you to see it. But if anyone's ready for the policy pathway now, and you're okay with understanding that the old sales page isn't what I love, DM me and I will give you something special to join if you join today with the old sales page, because that's my incentive to you. I want to get this in your hands so that you can start moving forward, feeling confident and believing in yourself. Rosa, did I answer your question of how do you believe in yourself? It's a choice I make every day. And some days it's really, really hard. I was having like a mild panic attack before I went live, and I almost convinced myself not to go live because I'm like, I don't know if I can. And I have to get out of my own way and be like, Dawn, I'm not doing this. Like, although sometimes I need to do things for me, sometimes I need to remember my purpose in life and my job and what I've created out of my business is to help other people. And if I don't show up, even when I'm having a mild panic attack, and I did some box breathing for 10 minutes first, regulating my heart rate, being like, what am I panicking about? And it was losing a sense of control over my life, feeling not in control. And control is something that I tried it. Like, I don't like to admit that I'm a control freak, but I was sharing with a student a couple of days ago that this overthinking, this overcomplicating comes from a sense of wanting to have control. And my sense of control comes from a place of when I'm not in the past in my life, when I haven't been in control, bad things happen. And so surrendering control to a moment, to somebody else, to letting someone else make decisions for me, letting someone else's decisions affect me is really, really vulnerable for me. I can share about my feelings, that's not vulnerable, which is vulnerable for a lot of people, and I understand. Letting go of control is extremely vulnerable and scary because I'm like, what if it all goes wrong? What if it all goes bad? Oh, I'm getting emotional. I love when I can catch your lives. I always take away something. I'm not on my personal page that much anymore, but I'll always look for you. Oh, thank you. Implementing allergies is my worst trait. Maybe that was supposed to be policies. Learn, but never implementing. Yeah, a lot of us are addicted to, like, you're addicted to learning, but allergic to implementing. And that's how my education is different. I don't teach you just things to know. I teach you how to do it. Because you don't need to know more. Honestly, you probably have everything you need already, but you need to learn how to do it. You need to know how to implement. Like, you can get all the templates and the scripts. You can learn exactly step by step how to do it, but you need to actually do it. And there's something between you knowing and you doing that's stopping you. And I'm curious if you can think of like one word of like, what's that thing that you hit up? Like when you go to do something, it's like you hit a brick wall. Can you share in the comments what it is for you? Because I'm curious for you guys, what is it between you know what to do? You could tell someone else what to do. But when it comes to you taking what you know and putting it into doing, you keep hitting a brick wall and something stops you. And what is the thing that stops you? I'm curious. And it's going to be different for everyone. Fear. Rosa, fear of what? Let's go deeper than that. Fear of what? What are you afraid is going to happen? Because a lot of people say fear, but we need to figure out what's underneath the fear. What are you afraid is going to happen when you do the thing that scares you? Fear of success. Bobby, what's going to happen if you're successful? What happens if you're successful? Do you lose people? Right? I think there might be losing clients. Yeah. That's where the client magnet would be really good, Rosa, if you're interested in joining us. You can still join. Because I know that you've been through the whole rock your business thing, but the client magnet is really, really good at teaching you to not be afraid of losing clients. And I mean, you know me, I'd love to have you in there. I'd love to be connected a little bit more. Fear of success. So I feel like if it works, it'll snowball and then I won't be able to keep up. Oh, fear of confrontation or an argument. What happens if you have confrontation or an argument, Burgundy? What does that mean? Fear of lack of support. Ooh. So I think I had a fear of success. And if I get really, really granular, my business was really doing well and my relationship fell apart. I was doing really well in business. I was getting cheated on. And so I think there's been this equation of if I focus on my business, my relationship suffers. And then thinking if I have a healthy relationship, then must mean that my business will suffer. And like, it's messed up. And I know that it's not logical. I know that that's like a weird, irrational fear. As irrational as my fear of fish is. I have a fear of fish. I'm like a really strong swimmer. I was one course away from becoming a lifeguard and I quit, which is one of my biggest regrets in life. Something I quit when I was just about there because I was insecure. Because I was scared of what people were thinking of me. I had to do some volunteer hours at my local swimming pool. And I walked in, I was too intimidated by the people that I turned around and left, and I never finished my lifeguarding. Really strong swimmer, terrified of open water. Fear of the pushback. And I don't know if you guys have ever been this close to a goal and then got scared and been like, I can't. And I think like I was in grade 10 or 11 when I was becoming a lifeguard. And I was too intimidated by the people working at the swimming pool. And now whenever I have that similar feeling, I'm like, just do it, Dawn, because you're going to regret it. I regret not becoming a lifeguard. Big time. I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I don't regret getting divorced. I don't regret getting married. The person I've become because of it is so much better. I regret not becoming a lifeguard. Isn't that funny? Fear of pushback. Just had a new client yesterday tell me, stylist, I'll charge too much. Yeah, and so usually our fear, and I'm curious, tell me if this is correct, our fear around pushback is that they're going to confirm an insecurity of not feeling worthy. And so that client telling you, and I don't want to project this onto you, but I know this was for me, Rosa, a client saying, stylist, I'll charge too much, that then confirms my fear that I might charge too much. Because if you're not insecure about something, it doesn't affect you. And so that fear of confrontation is a fear of someone confirming an insecurity to be true. Your fear of confrontation is a fear of someone confirming your insecurity to be true. Can someone write that out? Because I feel like we all can write that out in a comment and leave it in here. Your fear of confrontation is actually a fear of someone confirming your insecurity to be true. Because case in point, I don't know why I use Taekwondo as an example. Rosa, if I came and told you, you suck at Taekwondo, and you don't do Taekwondo, you'd be like, yeah, I know, I do suck at it. It wouldn't hit you. But if I came and said, you suck at doing hair, that would sting because it's something that you love doing and something that maybe you're slightly insecure, I don't know if this is an insecurity for you, and know that I know you do great hair. But if someone told me like, Dawn, you suck at going live or you suck at public speaking, I'd be like, oh my God, I always wondered if I was maybe terrible at it. Right? Yeah, I immediately got worried about my prices, even though I know my prices are too low. Yeah. And so I need you guys to know your fear of confrontation. You're not afraid of confrontation because someone confronting you about something that you're not insecure about and that you're fully confident about wouldn't bother you. Right? Something that you don't give a shit about, someone confronting you about it wouldn't bother you. But if they confront you about something that you even have the slightest sliver of insecurity about, or something that you're really proud of, and then they all of a sudden come in and undercut it, it's a fear of them confirming that you're not worthy. And so underneath it all, yeah, your insecurities to be true. And usually that's coming from a place of insecurity of not feeling worthy. You got it right, Burgundy. I love it. And so I want to ask you guys right now, what is the number one thing you're taking away from this live today? Because this is the kind of things that I teach inside of my paid education. And I know Burgundy and Rosa, anyone who's alumni of any of my programs, can you just go and share, say it like alumni and like what's the biggest takeaway from working with me? Because I'm not the educator for everyone. And I'm not the educator who's I'm going to hold your hand and walk with you, but I can't do it for you. I want to enable. I was enabled, and then I want to it's hard to watch people struggle, but it is through the struggle that you grow. It is through the failures that lead you to success. I would not be here talking to you if I hadn't failed so many times in my personal life and professional life. I wouldn't be able to impart the wisdom and the knowledge that I have if I hadn't been through what I had. I wouldn't be here doing this if I wasn't able to look my own insecurities in the face and be like, you don't get to make the decision today. I'm showing up even though your heart's palpitating, even though you're having a slight panic attack, even though you don't feel in control of your life right now. You need to show up because there are people out there that need your message. Yeah, Stacy, taking messy, immediate, imperfect action. Alumni, not the give up attitude you have. Yes, I love that. Oh, you guys are amazing. I am so thankful for the community. So if you've been looking for a community, if you've been looking for a place to know that you belong, no matter how weird you are, because I'm the weirdest person there is. I used to hide that. And what happened is, this is what we've been talking about in the client magnet. When you become a magnet, what a magnet does is it attracts, but it also repels. And so if you want to attract the right people for your business, you have to come to terms with repelling the wrong, meaning losing clients, meaning people just not being the right fit, and certain people not coming into your business. But you're going to attract the right people. But what the energy you put out and what you emit is what you attract. And so if you're not showing up as your true self, if you show up as a fake version or a guarded version, you're going to attract people who like that version, who then it's not going to feel aligned, and you're going to feel trapped because you're going to be like, I built something not on who I am. And now I built one of my clientels at one point, I built trying to pretend that I never messed up and I was perfect. And then all of a sudden I felt trapped and paralyzed by this expectation I'd put out there that I'm the best and I don't mess up. The moment I started allowing myself to show up messy in my bedhead, I didn't wash my face last night. I also have a filter on, but I didn't wash my makeup off last night. I am just hot mess express. The moment that I started allowing other people to know that about myself, the people that started to come into my world were people that got it. I mean, Rosa, I will still remember, I believe it was the first webinar that you were ever on with me. I told everybody on the webinar, I just had a nervous poop before because I'm so excited. And Rosa connected with me in the DMs about that. Now Rosa sends me fart and poop jokes all the time, and I love it. But there was a point in my life where I would never admitted that. Oh my gosh, don't tell poopy potty humor. That's something you talk about behind closed doors with your friends. But when you become a magnet, you attract the right people, but you repel the wrong people. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with repelling the wrong people. Alumni, I've been 4 years now and I'm still a big deal and I can do hard things. Yes, I love that. Alumni, I've definitely overcome a lot of my personal fears. I've grown boundaries. I've taken a lot of messy, immediate, imperfect action because I'm a big deal and I can do hard things. Hells yes, Burgundy. And so if you guys are curious about getting in on some of my education, I'm kind of restructuring everything right now. I'm also starting a mastermind because I know that in community and with accountability, long-term is where magic happens. And a lot of you guys have been part of my Rock Your Business program where we did 6 weeks. I want to extend that longer. I want to work with you long-term. And so Burgundy, Rosa, Bobby, who else is here? Stacy, and anyone else that's not even taken any of my education. If you want to work in a close-knit container for a longer period of time, where we do hard things together, where we take messy, immediate, even perfect action. If you've ever gotten excited and then the momentum's gotten there and then it's dropped off, that's what this mastermind is for. It's the Rock Your Business Mastermind. I would love to chat with you guys to see if it's the right fit. It's only for people who are willing to get out of their own way, take messy, immediate, imperfect action, courageously and vulnerably, not getting it right all the time, not having all their shit together, but are ready to show up messy and do this work for helping other people, because you're not in your business just to do hair or just to do aesthetics or whatever service you provide. I know you got into this industry because you care for people. You want to make an impact on the world. You believe that you have a legacy to leave this world. You believe that you have a message that you want to help get out there. You know that you're made for more. You know that you're capable. You're just scared. You under it all, you wonder, who am I to do this? Who am I to give this message? I mean, I don't know if I can share. Okay, I can share a photo. Let's find a picture. This version of Dawn. Ready for it? This is me, June 7th or July 6th of 2004. I'm 21 there. I grew up a shy, anxious, awkward, introverted, insecure girl. And there was things that happened to me in my life that at this stage I didn't even consciously was aware of. that made me believe I was just a hairstylist. And I had this desire to become something more and to help more people. But I also thought, who am I? Who am I? I'm just Dawn, right? Who am I? Why would people want to hear from me? And so I lived out this, well, it's just me. Like that message is for someone more deserving, and that message for someone who has more impact and who's more outgoing and who's more confident. Like this girl and this girl is the same person. And that's actually what I still see when I look in the mirror. And you can see my shoulders are slumped over. I'm not super confident in myself. I'm really retaining a lot of water back then because I ate a lot of bread and cheese. I just wasn't confident, and I didn't believe that I was worthy of going after my dreams or even affecting other people's lives. I love taking care of my clients. So if you struggle with thinking, I don't know if I'm worthy, or I don't know if I'm capable, or I don't know if I'm meant to help other people, if you have that dream or desire in yourself, it's there for a reason. This version of Dawn didn't think that, I had these big dreams and these big goals and this idea that I wanted to help impact the world and help other people. But then I was like, whoa, like, why would I do that? Why would me? Why not? Right? Why not? So I want to share that with you guys this morning. That's where I'm going to leave it at. This was an amazing live. I want you to know that you have the ability, you are worthy of whatever you crave. And if you need to start putting boundaries up today, you have to start no one can respect them if you don't respect them first. You got this, friend. I'm proud of you. Until tomorrow, stay weird.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast and for tuning into Business Breakfast and Bedhead. Like I said, I would love for you to join me live on these over on Instagram. So once again, just look up Dawn Bradley and let's connect. Shoot me a DM, send me a screenshot, tag me in your stories of listening to this or what you took away from this. Those comments, that feedback really makes my day and helps me know that these things are landing and that you want to hear more. I do these lives and I do this podcast for you to help you, and your feedback means the world to me. And if you enjoyed this episode, help me spread the love. Share it with a friend, a coworker, family member, or leave a review. And make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time. Until then, friend, stay weird.